Good evening and welcome to our very first episode of the Money Management Podcast. Tonight we're discussing the principles of entrepreneurship with Michiel, who's a seasoned entrepreneur and a successful business owner. Good evening, Michiel. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Ashley. Thanks for the invitation.
You're welcome. So you are with us tonight. We're talking the principles of entrepreneurship. Talk to us a little bit about entrepreneurship. Maybe for those who don't understand how it works, what is an entrepreneur really?
Actually, I think the thought around it is that you could only be an entrepreneur if you work for yourself. And I've seen it in many occasions that people don't understand that you could also develop those skills while you are employed in the traditional sense. They call it intrapreneurship. But for me, entrepreneurship is not letting it go. As you just keep on going, you've got this idea, you've got this vision, an ambition to improve yourself, the footprint that you want to create in your environment, within your arena of skills, and but you don't give up. That's entrepreneurship. It's taking that risk. It's going that extra mile. It's making sure you become a better you, and whatever that would be. If it's building wealth, if it's about creating a legacy for your family, having this huge business and name out in the industry.
Sure.
So yeah, I suppose there are many. There could be many definitions for it, but for me, it's doing that thing that you always know or wanted to do and getting it done.
Yeah, I mean that's quite an important point you mentioned. Many people strive to be entrepreneurs or business owners or self-employed because those are a little bit different, but similarly in their own ways. But how do you go about, there's tons of people that ask me on a regular basis, how do we make that transition from being employed for corporate or working for a company to going into, entrepreneurship? What are the things you need to look out for? How do you identify what it is that you should be doing? You've been an entrepreneur for a while now. What were some of the things that you looked at early stages?
Yeah. So actually, planning is obviously crucial. It's unless you have the faith of Abraham, which you should also have when you start your own business. But it's definitely careful planning. If you are used to the security of regular income, it's tricky. It is definitely a leap of faith, and also then that the chance you take. So it's careful planning. I think it is Heike Berg that said you can't work 8 to 5 for somebody else and not go home and build on your own dream. So for me, that's where it started. I worked and I earned a salary and I was very happy, but I always knew that there was more to it. I was supposed to do more than just that. So yes, then after hours, putting things together, getting that first client, working a little bit late, getting up early in the morning. So for me, the transition was that, putting in the extra time and making that planning work for you, and definitely financial savviness. Is that a word? Savviness that needs to come into play, where you like, all right, let's put away some money to carry me then at least for, you would know, a month or 2 or 3, or let's pay off debt, so that when I go on my own, then at least I'll be able to cover the costs. So planning for me was crucial, and it was taking the chance. And I must say, it also helped to have a wonderful family that supported me and didn't complain when it was late at night working or studying a qualification that would contribute to that journey. So support networks very important. I tell you, I wouldn't be where I am without my family. That's definitely for sure. But I don't think you should just go into it blindly. You've got that idea, and you've got the ambition, and you've most probably pondered about it for quite some time. So
Yeah.
go into it with your eyes wide open and know how you want to do it. And also, I was very fortunate to have people in my life, apart from my family, that I could brainstorm with, their brain. So it's
That
let's
like-mindedness, right?
let's call them mentors that could just help you structure. Because remember, the moment that it's in, or when it's in the head, it's only in your head, and then
Yeah.
I always say it's in the darkness. But the moment that you start
Yeah.
talking about things, you firstly realize by yourself, okay, no, that could work, or no, that sounds silly. And you then expose it to people, obviously to those that you trust, that can help you just restructure it. But the idea is yours, and you have to make it work. So that helped me a lot, was just doing that extra bit and working the long hours and getting the support network.
Sure. I see we've got a couple of viewers. If you have any questions or engagement, leave your comments for Michiel. We're talking entrepreneurship, the principles of entrepreneurship. Michiel, you mentioned specifically one thing I just want to delve into a little bit. You mentioned initially you were working, and then obviously the late hours and the support structure and all of that. What was your first job? I mean, what were the money challenges you faced? What prompted you to entrepreneurship?
Well, firstly, like I said, I always had this idea of I can do more. I have this ambition in me to want to be better, in a good sense, I'm sure. But I think that everybody wants to improve themselves. For me, the limitation was that I realized that I could only do so much with earning a salary. The kids grew up and needed to start university and those type of things. And I realized that a salary wouldn't be sufficient. So at first it was filling up the salary with, so the first job, or I'm not going to say the first job, the job that made me realize this was I was actually employed as a COO of an organization. And everything was good. I mean, I enjoyed my tenure there, and I worked with wonderful people, and I learned quite a lot in that position. But I realized there was only that much potential in terms of where I want to be in my own finances.
Yeah.
So I started doing a little bit of extra, and I started studying, and then I started doing a friend's books. And here I did an e-filing submission for somebody. I also had a very big, or still have a very big footprint in the education sector, as that is where it all started in my undergrad. And I was able to then slot into certain needs of training providers by doing assessments of portfolios after hours and filling it up. And then I very quickly saw that the earning potential of things like that and doing a friend's books or a company's books started growing or outgrow my salary potential. And that for me was the moment where I said, okay,
so the light bulb went on.
Yeah, let's do this. I'm obviously doing what I'm supposed to do, because this side of the coin is growing, where this side sort of stagnated, if you know what I'm saying, Ash. And like you say, that was the light bulb moment. It's like, okay, let's do the planning, discuss it with the family, because obviously there's some restrictions that needs to happen in terms of spending. And I was
100%.
blessed to have been able to then move on to that.
Okay. I mean, take us through the early stages of that transition to entrepreneurship. What were some of the struggles you faced in the early days? I mean, give it to us straight. What were the things that you faced that were challenging, and why were they challenging?
Actually, so as an entrepreneur, for me, it was chasing the next invoice. You were like, oh my word, where's that next invoice going to come from? And then you do all these proposals, and I actually looked at. I've got a whole archive of proposals and how it developed over the years. I mean, I started with this one page of proposals, and then it became like it looked like a tender document at the end of the day with 300 pages. And and some of them worked, some of them didn't work. So you put in a lot of hours, and you see the client once, two times, three times, and for nothing to happen. And
Yeah.
and then you think, okay, I've not done what I was supposed to do. I failed. And then a year later, that client will phone you up and say, okay, you know what? I think I'm ready for that idea now. I'm ready to partner up with you. So for me, that was the struggle, to get that sweet spot in how you present yourself and how you actually fill a need for that client. It's easy to ramp down. I mean, like everybody's LinkedIn profiles, it looks amazing of all the things that you've done, and and it comes with reason. Obviously, you've done all of that.
Yeah.
But for a client, that wasn't always, or for the clients at that point in time, and even now, it's not just about that. Yes, they want to know that you've got capacity and you have experience, but they want to know how you're going to meet their need and how you're going to address that need with all these lists of things that you can do. And that for me was a tricky thing. It took it took many years to understand what I have and how to slot it into what the client wants. And then the flip side of that is knowing what the client wants. It's just, I'm a Gil and I can do books and I can help you with your tax and I can assess portfolio. It's like, what is it that they really need?
Yes.
Understanding that and listening, and I am fortunate to lecture at the Nelson Mandela University for final year students in business management related subjects. And there's a component in it where we talk about communication, and one of the skills in communications that we refer to as active listening. And that was a skill that I had to learn, because you tend to listen to respond.
100%.
But it's way more important to listen to understand, if you know what I'm saying, and to really comprehend what the client. So I think if I had to hang out this major thing for me, that was the biggest barrier to overcome. It was that. It's just keep quiet, Michiel. You don't always like your voice the way that you think you do. Listen to the client, hear what it is they need, and do research on that, and really plug into that. And then do a nice proposal. 300-page proposals don't work.
Nobody reads the fine print, right?
Absolutely.
So we're getting some comments here on the live stream. Nature Snap says, evening, Jen. Shout out to VDAC and the Money Management Podcast. Thank you, Nature Snaps, for that one. And then we got a question from Faza here. The question says, what are the top 3 characteristics you would attribute to your success as an entrepreneur?
That's an excellent question. I'm not scared of taking risks. So I'm a risk taker. I would like to, maybe my wife would see it differently, but I do calculated risk. I don't just jump into something, but I'm a risk taker. And I believe in who I am. Many people have told me over the years that my assertiveness were one of those things that made them buy into what it is that I offer, even if I maybe didn't really check all the boxes, but I was very confident. So that could be the second one. And then I would think the third one, I'm not lazy. I'm not lazy. I'll put in the extra time. I'll do that extra thing. I'm 47, I think. My wife always corrects me on my age, but I think I'm around there, and I'm still studying. I'm doing a postgraduate in advanced international taxation. So it's being inquisitive. So I think I've now named 4. Thanks, Faisal.
But I mean, we spoke about that just before the show started, and this continuous learning is something that we always have to strive towards. I mean, life is changing at a vast pace. So if you're not staying up to date, you're not going to be able to stay ahead and being a successful entrepreneur or business owner.
Yeah, you'll fall behind. Actually, I mean, I see in the practice where my practice currently. I'm
Yeah.
fortunate enough to serve clients all over South Africa. So if I was not equipped to handle that within a cloud-based setup, I definitely will only be limited to the clients in my area. So if you don't keep up with the tools that are available to you to do stuff like that, and artificial intelligence and chat GPT and stuff like that, and
100%.
not just know about it, but how to use it, you're going to stay behind. And as an entrepreneur, I think that's a dangerous place to be at. To think, I've always done it this way, that type of sentence is definitely going to make you lose eventually.
100%. I mean, one of the passions for me, being a financial planner by profession, is seeing other people become entrepreneurs or business owners, for the pure reason, I mean, and you'll know this being a tax specialist, but our tax base that we collect tax from in the country is, correct me if I'm wrong, is not even 10% of our population, right?
Yeah.
Now, I read a scary stat that says 27 million South Africans are living on grants. Now, in theory, right, this is just theory. Practicality is a whole different thing, and we know this when you roll out a business. But if every person can start a business and employ 3 to 4 people, you can literally eliminate that. When you start a business, whatever it may be, what is the top 3 things you have to look for, that that checklist? I need to do these 3 things, then I know I'm guaranteed success. I mean, statistics shows us as well, 80% of businesses fail in the first 5 years. And those are not businesses that do not have good ideas. There are people coming out with phenomenal ideas. What are those 3 things that those that are listening and they're going to see this video, what are the things that they can look at and say, this is good advice?
Actually, I would, and I think I'm repeating myself, so please excuse me, but it's about that idea, it's making sure that idea is valid. I think it's easy to say, especially when you or you listen to me now, it's easy to say, I don't want to just earn a salary. I want to earn my own income, or I want to be my own boss. And I think if that is your main reason, you're going to struggle a little bit. It's about knowing the idea and knowing your motivation and your skill behind that idea. So I think that would be, for me, sort of a first type of tick that you have to do. Is that all right? Is that in place? My motivation and skill and that. Then the second thing is get help. There are people out there that are willing to support you, whether it is by being a mentor, and then you get venture capitalists and funding specialists. I mean, depending on what it is that you have and want to do, there are people out there that are extremely skilled at giving help. So that be the second thing is, and then the third thing is surround yourself with the right people. People. I think there's a book about giants and a movie also about facing the giants. I think know which giants are around you and if they are good or bad giants. So surround yourself with the right people. I definitely think those would be. I mean, there's obviously way more. Do your homework and know where you come from, setting up. What are the resources that you need? So in just referring back to me, I would say If I had to quantify it like that, yes, that would be that.
I mean, that first point you mentioned, so I always make the joke, when I speak to other people and, we're having tongue-in-cheek conversations, but if your intention is to start a business to make money, and that's your pure intention, it is going to fail because you get blurred by the intent of just making money. I mean, entrepreneurship is so much more than that. It's about, like you said, you have a vision and a plan, you're bringing it to the market, you're servicing a need, whatever that may be. And you're giving other people an opportunity, you're employing other people. So your focus needs to shift. So let's fast forward a bit. So you started your business, right? You got going, you had a few struggles, you got the right people. Talk to us a little bit about the middle point, where things started stabilizing up a little bit, and take us through some of the challenges you went through there. I mean, you got growth, there was things happening. Tell us a bit more about that. How
Actually,
do those
so,
phases go on?
When you're chief cook and bottle washer in your business, definitely there are challenges. When you are the marketing manager, the HR manager, the finance manager, and the tea lady, so that really becomes an issue at one point to get everything done in time. So I think that is to also know where the pivot is. One of the biggest mistakes that I think many people make, but I definitely made, is now you are fortunate enough, your business is growing, you're getting the clients in, the invoices that you've chased are coming in, but now it's actually growing out of your capacity. And now you think, okay, now I need to employ somebody, so I need to pay a salary, but oh my goodness, now that means it's got, there's money going away from me. And that for me was a hard realization. And I mean, I'm even every now and again, I do struggle with it a little bit to think, okay, but can't I just do it? I mean, if I stay an extra hour, I can just quickly do this. But then you are not focused on what it is that you're supposed to do. For me, as Michiel, the ultimate aim and goal of my business would be to grow the business, to get more clients, to widen my footprint. If I stay and work that extra hour, will I be focused on that? Definitely not. And then also I have this vision of equipping, and I mean, one of my slogans is growing the social economy of South Africa. Then I won't preach or practice what I'm preaching. Yeah. So for me, that was a hard point. And I think a lot of faith comes into play, a lot of prayer, getting the right people in, which was the struggle. You think, or you're so desperate to get the help, and now you also don't think you can pay so much salary, and then you start getting in help, and they're not the right people for you. And so that would be actually like a second struggle that I had to realize. Just breathe, take a moment, make sure that you conceptualize it well. The same way that you've done your planning on getting this idea into business, plan around that as well. What is it that you really need help with? My wife told me, right in the beginning, I said, oh no, we need somebody. And she said, okay, but what's that person going to do? I don't know. I just need somebody. She must come and do this and this and this. And that's bad planning. Because then this person is going to come here and you're going to, okay, right, I'll do it, but you just look at what I'm doing, So making that decision was the tough one for me, definitely. I think that if apart from having to pay the bills and making sure that there's enough money at the end of the month, paying my own bills, not just the salary and the rent and the telephone and whatever the case may be. It's also then knowing when to let go and when it's time to let go. Yeah, I think, and what it is that you need to let go of, and where you are growing to as an entrepreneur, your own skill, your own environment as the business evolves.
So what was that point for you? I mean, so you're growing to capacity, right? And you realize that you don't want to do the extra hour, because somebody summed it up actually so nicely. It's the saying says you should be working on your business and not in your business. right? And what is that you get, what was that point where you realized, okay, this is the next person that I need? What was that practical moment? And then how did you identify which area specifically in your business, where you're growing to?
Actually, so it's amazing how things work sometimes. You go to school and university and you learn all these theories and principles, and then you
Yeah.
just forget about it because, you've studied for the exam and you pass and that's it. But I read a book again that taught me about the 80-20 principle. And I'm sure that is a principle that is spoken in many business languages.
Yes.
And I had to think about it. What am I spending my time on versus what the potential is of my business? And I think I'm lucky in a way that I have this intuition as well, where I'll just suddenly get frustrated and irritated with something that I'm doing. And I'm thinking, but it's wasting my time. I'm not getting to X, Y, and Z. So I think you need to be aware of yourself and who you are and what it is that you do, because hopefully in the beginning you've done all this planning and you've dreamed about where you want to take this business to. So the moment that there's that stop street on, like, okay, but I'm not getting there, I'm wasting time. So for me, it was I realized I put that extra time in, which I said, I'm not lazy. I work early mornings, late at nights. I'm not lazy. I like working and I like doing what I'm doing. But it's that moment where you realize, and before we started the podcast, I actually told you about one thing that I did today. I was busy auditing a client's payroll that I took over from a previous practitioner, and it's you don't know what you're doing, and because you can't get to a point where you're realizing what the mistake was that the previous practitioner made. And then that's a typical example for me, because why do I need to do it? I've got very skilled people that are very able to do this, but I have this idea of, no, I'm going to sort it out. And that's where you say I'm working in the business now. So be aware. Be aware. So for me, that was that was a tough one, and I realized that extra hour or two that I put in every night was a waste of time. When you get home and you think, man, I was busy today, but what did I do?
But you got nothing done.
Yeah.
100%.
I know I worked, and I know it was busy, and the time flew by. I think that's the red light zone that you need to then be in. And sure. I still get into it. I'm going to admit that it's definitely not a perfect science, but when I started feeling like that, I realized, okay, I need help. There are people better equipped or have time, or whatever the case may be, that can do these type of things for you.
I mean, when we watch, the youngsters will know when you're scrolling through like your TikTok or your reels on Facebook, and all these rich guys say, you should, you focus on what you're good at that makes you the most money. You apply the 80-20 principle, and then the rest you employ somebody, that's good at that loves that, and then they take care of that. So I guess that's true in that instance as well.
But then there's also, is it Steve Jobs that also said, you employ people to help you and to tell you what to do, and not tell them what to do. So I think 100%. That is another flip side to the coin of entrepreneurship, is you don't always have to know it all. And there are people out there that knows it all or knows better. Get those people in. And I think I've made that comment earlier on, is surrounding yourself with the right people. I think people are, and it's an opinion, it's not a fact, and I'm basing it on my own opinion here, so we'll see what the comment says. But I think people are scared that people come on board that are better than you. So you are now this managing director or business owner or founding director, whatever you want to call, CEO, and now somebody comes in, but sure, that person's actually way more clever than you. So now you feel threatened.
Sure.
That is also a dangerous place to be at. And like I said, I've made these mistakes. So then you
Yeah.
tend to push those that IP, almost like the intellectual property of somebody away, because man, I must know everything. I must be
Yeah.
the one that knows it all, and that's a tough one. It's a tough one, I know, but because I know that many people are scared of that. But for me, I learned that very recently, only myself. But and I must say, it made a huge difference in my practice, in who I am as a person, and how I develop myself. And so
I think it can be depicted nicely, the leader between, the difference between a leader and a boss. They very, very different.
um, yeah. So one of the things, I mentioned that I teach or lecture at the university, and it's amazing how theory works. And I must say, I always have this little giggle in myself when I read the academic text, and you now know that you have to teach this to a student, but they're going to realize very quickly in their careers it's not going to work like that. But yeah, you've got this differentiation between leadership and management, and
Yes.
I think if you realize who you are, where you want to be, that helps a lot. I'm a big follower of John Maxwell, and I've read these books, and one of the books that I've read is The 5 Levels of Leadership. And the 5 levels of leadership for me are typical growth patterns or a growth journey of what an entrepreneur should be. Because the pivot of it all is when a leader creates other leaders. So
Yes,
when an entrepreneur creates other entrepreneurs, whether it's an entrepreneur within your own organization or then for this person to move out, whatever the case may be, I think that would be so definitely. Sorry that I'm giggling, but yes, this is a discussion that's been going on for many years about leadership and management, and there are so many podcasts about that, and I don't want to be us to have one of those, but definitely, if your idea as an entrepreneur is I want to be the boss of people.
Second tick, money number one, and then being the boss. You're going down. So, somebody very close to me actually says it like this, so based on the personality test called Insights, you get 4 different colors, and, you get your red, your blue, your yellow, and your green. And this person mentions that, you always got a visionary, and visionaries are great for getting the business started, getting it up and running. This is the vision. This is where we're going. But then you need somebody who's red and maybe blue, to implement the strategies and the processes and drive forward, take the business forward. And that's why you see these guys that run multi-billion-dollar companies. They don't really have much to say. They maybe sit on the board, or they just, earning their income, but other people are running their business for them.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Actually, and like we said earlier before the podcast, we spoke about keeping up, with the kids and our parents, the way that they grow old and they don't keep up, and there's frustrations. And it's exactly that. If you stay behind and you don't know where things are going, it's going to be tough. I've read an article of a South African person. He finished his degree at Stellenbosch. He's 23 years old. He built his company to be a multi-million rand company within a year after finishing his degree by surrounding himself with the right people. Okay, obviously he had a very good strategy and model that he built, and he could go to somebody, a venture capitalist. It's one can do it, and there's no age restriction to that. And he what I could read in between the lines, and again, that's just how I read it, is he didn't want to be the boss. He didn't want to be like, I want to employ 500 people and they must bow to me when I get into the office. I just want to work, and I want to make money, and I want to help people make money, and and for me, that is a good thing. I we can learn, Ashley. I mean, I know you're way younger than me, but I mean, we're still not young. So we can learn from that. It's about who you are and what it is that you really want to do, and know what your motivation factors are. Excuse me.
So we got quite an interesting question. Yeah, you're going to have to answer it. I'm sitting in the back seat.
Oh dear. All right, let me try.
So the question is, what strategies have you implemented to adapt to the changing landscape of accounting and finance in South Africa with regards to technology?
Like I said, I'm not scared of learning, and luckily, the professional bodies that I belong to be able to practice, they offer a lot of training. Well, firstly, we need to do continuous professional development, and a lot of those that the training relates to how to take in technology and how to use it to your benefit. So that was the first point of order. It's like, okay, let's see what else is out there and let's learn how to do it properly. And then one of the other things is I'm very pleased to have somebody in my team that's also not scared of technology, and he wants to figure it out, and and he's going to get this right. So that was also one of the other things. And then one of the previous comments on where we grow out of capacity is we very quickly realized that the spreadsheet database does not work anymore. I love Excel, don't get me wrong, and I consider myself an Excel evangelist, but you very, very quickly realize this spreadsheet with data and the birth dates and the tax numbers and all of that is not working anymore. And it's embracing the fact that there are beautiful programs out there and solutions and platforms to help you do that, to make your life easier. So it was investigating, getting something firstly for the right price. I mean, there's obviously things out there that are beautiful programs and solutions, but it costs money, and I had to be honest with myself and say, all right, we need to move to the next phase, and what could that next phase also cost me? And I did a lot of homework, Ashley. And to the viewer, I did a lot of homework to see what it's really about. I had demos. I had second demos. I asked questions. There was free trials that I tried. And with free trials, you tend to load a lot of data on it, only to realize, no, I don't want to use it. Then it's the next free trial, you load the data again. So it was a bit of a trial and error. So my strategy is go and do it. I knew it exists. I love technology. I'm not scared of technology. I think the arrival of ChatGPT opened up many ideas or ways of thinking about things. I also embraced a tool called Power BI that we use to build financial models. That is a data analysis tool that's available. And when you feed the data correctly, at the press of a button, you get all this scenarios and ratios. So do it. It's there.
I've heard of that one, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We got another question here. This is also quite a goodie. How did you equip yourself to persevere through any failures throughout the growing process? Because that's tough.
Yeah, actually, I also realized who I am and my personality and character. And, you get those moments where you feel like I'm not making it, that next invoice is not coming through, and you've done 3 proposals, you've sent out 70, and it's not coming through. And one thing that I've embraced, and I teach it to my boys as well, you allow yourself to feel sorry for yourself, but only for a moment. Okay,
I like
how long that moment would be. Hopefully the moment is not days on end, but allow yourself to feel disappointed and to feel disheartened and to be upset with yourself and whatever it is, and then you move on, right? Because I'm a believer. Sure, and it took me a long time to get here. I've got a very, very good friend of mine in Johannesburg, and we used to we bounce things off each other, and every now and again I would like, oh, it's not working, I can't do it, and then the next moment it works, and then we would have a laugh about it. So allow yourself that moment to feel upset, to feel like a failure, but don't let it define you, because it's only there's that little thing that says a chapter in a book that's bad doesn't make the book bad. So it's a bad
100%.
chapter. Okay, so what is it that we're going to learn from it? Can we do it better? Are we going to push it aside? It's a tough one, because sometimes you've put in time and money, so it is a loss. And when the money doesn't come in and the rent needs to be paid, it's a tough one. So
100%. Okay. Yeah. Well, a lot of people say, then you're paying your school fees, so you can't pay rent because you have to pay school fees to learn how to grow your business.
Oh, that's for sure.
I want to touch on one thing. I mean, we've chatted about the processes and how you've grown, you've identified, where to grow and all of that. Let's talk about cash flow management. We touched on it early on the first aspect when you made that transition from being a full-time employee to working for yourself or, starting a business. Let's talk about the business phase. How do you approach cash flow management, and what is your advice to anybody listening? Because and tell me if there is any correlation. Me being a financial planner, the first thing I always look at with a client, say, how's your budgeting skills? We need to talk about the budget because that determines everything. Is that the same in a business? Talk to us about cash flow management specifically.
No, actually, the thing is, you have this idea of what you think you could do or should do. So I remember when I resigned from full-time employment, and I set up a little office in my house. We had a very small office. So I think, okay, I need a printer, I need a table, I need a new computer, and things. But then you think you need all these things, and all of a sudden you feel overwhelmed by it. You're like, oh, but I can't afford it. So, if I could give advice, and I wish I could give this advice to myself a few years ago, is just take a moment and breathe, and see what it is that you really need. Do you really need that new computer, or is the one that you have in the old Windows 7, whatever, I don't know, not sure, is it not still good enough for you? Do you need a beautiful a table that you buy from Decofern or whatever the place may be, or is the old table in the garage nice enough for you to sit down? So for me, cash flow planning started there. And I decided to use debt. The nice word is financial leveraging. So I financially leveraged my transition with debt, and it's a tough one because you tend to now see, oh, I've got this money, I can go buy the new computer and whatever. And so some of the mistakes I did make, but definitely knowing how to budget. It's, what is that, and being honest with yourself. I had a client with me yesterday where I'm trying to help her with the business and on a personal side on how to improve her financial aspect of, or let's just say her cash flow management skills. And I told her, okay, bring me your budget. Tell me what it is that you pay in your business and you pay personally. And I know that you've done it many times with your own clients, and they're not honest because they feel embarrassed if they say they've got 3 credit cards that are in the red. So I very quickly learned I have to be honest with myself. So cash flow planning started there. Again, I'm very blessed to have a wife that she can go to the shops and I could tell her what the budget is and she can make it work and bend it, and we still have amazing dinners and whatever. But then when I go to the shops with that amount of money, I come home like, this is all that I bought,
with Oreos.
So be careful. The thing is, there are moments, for me, there were moments where huge amount of money came in suddenly, and it's almost like you get mad a little bit because there's all this
100%.
money now.
Yeah.
So take a moment. You take it. The rent must be paid. You'll pay it. You need to do something. You'll do it, because in that rush of not taking that moment to breathe, you make an emotional decision and not a business savvy decision. So cash flow management started there and I mean, you can see from my demeanor, I'm excited and I'm loud and I talk, and I had to learn, especially when it comes to money, it's like, stop it, Michiel. Think about it now. Put on your business hat, put on your finance hat. Let's really see where this is going. Pay off your debt, pay the school fees, like you say, and then you see where you can take it from, how you will invest it.
Sure.
Do you need to keep it in the bank account, or can you go to an Ashley and say, Ashley, yes, R5. If you don't take it, I'm going to use it. So let's rather plan around it so that it's to the benefit of me in the long run, and not just instant gratification with the money that comes in. So it's a tricky one, and it comes with a lot of practice. But be careful and breathe. Just breathe about money. It's there. It's gonna happen. It's going to work.
100%. I mean, this is my little disclaimer, right? I mean, we should put up, this does not constitute financial advice. And the second disclaimer is, for all intents and purposes, the host and all guests do not think that they're perfect on the topics that they're speaking about. I mean, me included. I struggle with tons of things, but so we grow, so we learn, and, we get a hold of these things. And, you get that psychology of money a bit better, because it's very much a psychological thing. You mentioned one thing I'd like to just delve into out of curiosity's sake: leveraging debt. How did you do that? And I mean, what are the pitfalls of getting that debt, making debt, right? And then you got this jump in cash flow. All of a sudden, you got money. What are the things? How did you approach that psychologically, and how did you deal with that? And what are the pitfalls you can fall into?
Yeah, Ashley, money can make you mad, eh? If you have this idea of, here's my business and I have this thing and here's all this money.
Yeah,
you can go crazy. If you don't plan well, and it's a tricky thing. Once again, like you say, nobody's perfect, and I'm not going to put myself out there as, I'm this perfect debt counsel or manager. I've stepped into a few muddy puddles along the way. It again comes back to planning, Ashley. If you can't, let's make it simple. You and your wife decide you want to go on holiday and you want to go to the Maldives. You don't just arrive at the Maldives. There's things that need to happen. How are you going to get there? What are the clothes that I'm going to wear? Which airline am I going to fly? Where are we going to stay? How much pocket money do we have? Where will the kids go? Will the kids go with? Will we get baby? So everything is a plan. So it doesn't just happen. So if you're planning, if you lack in planning skills, realize that. First, learn to plan, get help to plan. Then you can go and get the debt if you think that is what's needed. Because if you're a good planner, you most probably will be a good manager as well, in knowing where to allocate the funds to, and not just go and buy the nice computer or the nice desk or whatever it is that you think you should do. And the thing is also, Ash, I don't know with you, but I could convince myself very quickly that I need to. I could very the company needs this bucky. We need to get this you know, because if we have this bucky, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. And then you get the bucky, and the bucky is not really needed, you know. And then you've got this amount of debt, or you took money from the debt to now buy something that you don't need, you know. So that's why I say you're very, and I'm sure there are many people out there that do that, you know. It's like with the exercising, we spoke about it earlier. You know, I know I have to exercise. I know it. But I can very much convince myself that I don't need to do it today.
You see, my problem, and that's why I'm laughing, is so the issue I have is when I'm driving and I go see a client, I also very quickly fall into that trap. And I'm a relatively good salesman and I sell myself. So I don't even handle my own objections. And I just pull into the drive-thru and I buy food. So that's also something I need to get control of. But I understand 100%.
The thing is, you know, and you know, with the companies that I assist with their accounting and their tax, you know, in financial management, you learn this concept about financial leveraging. If you are a person that are clear-headed and open-minded, debt is not bad. Debt can help you. You know, it's almost, and I think this is a discussion that we could have from its own, is how to use somebody else's money to help you grow your idea. Especially if you don't have your own money, and you know, many people don't. You know, they start off, they need funding, they go to venture capitalists, they go and borrow money, or they've got a rich uncle that says, okay, here's the money, you know, you can pay me back. All of that is financial leveraging. So be clear-headed about it and plan accordingly and know how you want to use it. And don't get emotional, especially about debt. Money, all over money, but especially about debt. Don't get emotional.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I was asked this question and we've had discussions about it in private with, you know, some of my staff and all of that. But do you think that it is needed in the space of entrepreneurship for a formal qualification or education? And to what extent do we have to approach it? Do we study a full-on degree before we start a business? Or, you know, how do we approach it? What is the boundary lines when we're considering such?
Actually, well, you know, firstly, for me, I realized that I needed knowledge, right? Especially my area of practice, I needed knowledge. So I went and I studied to enlarge that knowledge. And not so much about being an entrepreneur, although entrepreneurial subjects were part of those qualifications that I completed. So you know, I think there are two sides to this. Is develop your skill or your knowledge within your entrepreneurial dream or vision or strategy. So if that means go and study the degree, yes, go and study the degree. But the degree is not going to make you an entrepreneur, definitely not. It will provide you certain skills to do that. I can do tax because I've studied a tax qualification, but it doesn't mean I'm an entrepreneur. You know, it's a few other things that come into play. So for that, definitely. Must it always be a degree? Definitely not. There you can do short courses, YouTube, Udemy, TikTok. There are many ways of helping you develop that. So for me, that was important. Also, in my arena, you have to be qualified to, for example, sign off a financial statement, stuff like that. So I had to go do that. So know that. I think you as an entrepreneur must know, okay, where is the which side of the line do you need to do what you need to do. I also want to just mention, I did in my I did a master MBA, and I had to do a dissertation. And funnily enough, the dissertation was about entrepreneurship. There's within the occupational qualification sub-framework of South Africa, you get occupational qualifications and national certificates that are governed by the SETAs. All right, the SETA is the Sector Education Training Authority. Now, the services SETA has two qualifications that they call new venture creation. So those qualifications are focused on developing entrepreneurship in South Africa. It's stunning qualifications. The standards and the outcomes within the qualification is amazing qualifications. So my research focused on that, and my survey that I've done with firstly with training providers that deliver this qualification, and then the learners that completed the qualification. The problem that I saw there is that the learners that exited that qualification were still looking for a job. Although even during this qualification, they had to come up with a business idea, whether they're baking muffins or whatever the case may be, they still completed the qualification, they got the paper, but they were still looking for a job. So my argument there, and where I investigate, is what is then really taught? Is it then only theory? Because then I would say, don't go study, because that's not that you can read it by yourself. You don't have to spend the time going to university stressing about exams, right? So then you're in the wrong place, if you want to call it that. And I mean, we've got huge examples out in the world. I mean, you've got the Richard Bransons and those type of people that didn't even finish their schooling or didn't, finish their university careers, and they are amazing businessmen. So I believe if your objective is to enhance the skill that you bring into your business venture, yes. But if you rely on that degree or certificate to make you an entrepreneur, please stay away. It's not. You can't learn to be that. It can teach you skills. It can open up a door, maybe, but you will never. I don't think you can study a degree and be a successful person. It's because of what you've studied that you can become successful. And then all these other things that come into play, your emotional intelligence and your social intelligence and stuff like that, reading the room, those stuff get taught in a degree, Ashley. And those are the things that, in the older days we called it soft skills, but, it's still very valid. If you look at, I think it was Forbes that did a whole study on the jobs of the future, the jobs of 2030. And it's having soft skills, problem solving, emotional intelligence, and not so much just I can do the books, or I can type this, or I can mark whatever mark a paper, or whatever the case may be. So I suppose it's a bit of a double answer here, but definitely if that's your purpose to go, I'm going to go to university and study to be an entrepreneur. I don't know.
100%.
I haven't been exposed to that can be successful. No?
I mean, that then asks the question, are we born with entrepreneurial skills, or is it rubbed off from other people, the people that we mingle with? And then I think it also ties in with what your passion is. You turn your passion into something where you can earn from it. Like you say, there's tons of things that are influencing factors to this outcome at the end of the day.
Actually, you know what? It's amazing how, over the years, I'm thinking of crowds that I've been in networking events, between friends. Not everybody will be and wants to be an entrepreneur. So
100%.
I wonder, and I think that would be a very good research topic to maybe do. So actually, you're up for your master's degree, so that's it's like, are they really then born? Because why would only certain people talk about, I want to start this business, and I've got this idea, and I want to do this. I mean, my eldest son, he's busy with this amazing idea of something that him and a friend is building, and I told him, don't give up on that. Where the next I will look at them. It's like, oh, yeah, man, I don't want to do that. That sounds hard, like hard work. So I do want to think it is like that a little bit, that you get born one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of my
I mean,
own.
if we had 80 million entrepreneurs in this country, then nobody would have jobs. Everybody would be working for themselves.
Yeah, precisely. We need those people too. Yeah.
Well, that hits us on the time. We've spent a good hour chatting about entrepreneurship, and we've touched on various topics. If there's any other questions, please leave them through. And yeah, Michiel, thank you for your time. We're going to plug your business as well, VDAC, your business. We're going to upload it to our socials. Hopefully, you get some traffic on that front. And all the best for you and your team. We really appreciate your time this evening.
Thanks to you as well. I hope this journey is very successful for you.
Thank you very much, Michiel. We'll chat up. We'll catch up again. Thanks for your time, and then keep well. Send our regards that side.
Cheers.
Bye.